Hi, I'm Kara, life coach, wife, and mom to 4 incredible and unique children. It wasn't all that long ago that my son received a diagnosis that had my world come crashing down. I lacked the ability to see past the circumstances, which felt impossible, and the dreams I once had for my life and family felt destroyed. Fast forward past many years of surviving and not at all thriving, and you'll see a mom who trusts that she can handle anything that comes her way and has access to the power and confidence that once felt so lacking. I created the Special Needs Mom podcast to create connection and community with moms who find themselves feeling trapped and with no one who really understands. My intention is to spark the flare of possibility in your own life and rekindle your ability to dream. This isn't a podcast about your special needs child. This is a podcast about you. If you are a mom who feels anxious, alone, or stuck, then you are in the right place. Welcome. Hello and welcome to the Special Needs Mom podcast. At this time, my house smells like a brewery. 2 of my boys. It's always hard to say like which boys because I have 3 boys. Order of operations is Cade is my oldest, Levi is my middle, and then Will is my youngest son, and then my daughter Cambria is my baby. Okay, but I often will say the boys because Will and Cade will do things together. But then that feels very exclusionary for Levi. So I haven't figured out a good way to say when it's just the 2 of them. But anyhow, 2 of my boys got my husband a homebrew kit for Christmas. So today was brew day and it smells, I don't know. Here we have a local brewery. It's quite popular and I love it. It's called Stone Brewery and Gardens. It's one of my favorite places. And because it's beautiful. Anyhow, but there's a very distinct smell for beer, especially these IPAs. So, and I don't know if it's a good smell. It's a strong smell. So that's what we got going on right now. And earlier today, I shared with my husband that I needed to get an episode out today. I'm a little behind schedule. He said, "Oh, like, have you written it yet? Like, are you ready?" And I said, "Nope." He said, "Oh, well, do you know what you're going to talk about?" Also, nope. And so we kind of giggled together. What do we do about that? And so I did what I often do when I'm trying to land on what I want to bring you to this show, which is I went for a walk. And you know what that got me? I know you wish it was inspiration, but you know what it got me is a sprained ankle. My darn dog. Oh my gosh. I'm still so mad at her. I'm getting over it. My dog. I love her. I really love her, but she caught me off guard. There was a biker going by and like I thought like we were beyond the point which she was going to jump, but then she decided to jump last minute. And so it caught me off guard and I tripped somehow and rolled my ankle. And honestly, it would have been really embarrassing if anyone had heard me talking to her because I definitely talk to my dog a lot. And like just picture like a sibling like spat, like you're having a little fight. And I don't know what I said to her, but I definitely said it like a mad person. I was angry. So there I was, and I kind of vacillated. I was like, okay, I was walking. I was like, okay, is this bad enough to like turn back? Is it like good enough to move forward? And so I kind of kept walking. I really wanted to go on a walk. And the sunset was like, woo, it was gorgeous. So I did walk. I kept walking. I was like, okay, I think we're okay. But I was still really mad at my dog. And anytime she stopped to smell something, I said, get back over here. Like I didn't give her the privilege of smelling that bush. I said, no, I'm mad at you. I'm not very mature sometimes. Okay. But what I was listening to was a somatic training. And honestly, it was fascinating. And by the end of the walk, I was like laughing at myself at how silly it was. Like to be mad at my dog. Like it makes no difference to her if I'm like mad or not. Like she's just going on living her best canine life. And honestly, I could have like really developed a good episode on that. But I was like, I don't know. That feels like it's a little stretching it. And I didn't get any major revelations on my walk. But as I was sitting here, I was like, I don't know, actually what I wanted to talk about did come to light. And it's simple. I think some of the best things here actually are very simple. Why? Because actually we can kind of contemplate them and meditate on them during the week between episodes and actually implement them and practice them. And again, very little. They're very, I don't want to say insignificant. That's definitely not the right word. They're very, what's the word I want to use? They're very underrated, maybe could be a word. But I think you get the idea. So here's the concept that came to me. And I'll give a little bit more context too as I pull out some more stories from the day in the life, I guess the week in the life of my family. So the concept I want to bring to you is your permission not to be amazing, or your permission not to be great. My permission not to be great. And I know it's a little tricky when I'm actually publishing a podcast episode that I do want to uphold some level of standard, but that's actually not what I'm talking about. To talk about this, I actually do want to bring some context into my life. And so for perspective, at the time of this recording, it's Sunday evening, and I want to rewind back to Tuesday. It was the day my best friend even had messaged me in the morning. She's like, "You made it." She knew that my son Levi was going back to school to join the other ones who were already back in full-time school, and that I was going to get the time and the space to shift my focus from caregiving to support Levi into other areas that I care about. And that's just not how it went. Turns out the theme of the month for our family is sprained ankles. And so oh my gosh, it was a long and very horrible story. Well, I should say it was maybe the worst traffic experience I've ever had. And so it was a series of uncontrollables, and it was a series of controllable events, as in I chose to prioritize time with my oldest son, supporting him navigating this whole healthcare thing since he's 18 now. And it's like so funny to be in the room and they're like talking to him and they're like, "And who's your guest?" Mom's like, "I'm his mom." Mm-hmm. His guest. I thought that was a nice way of saying that. Okay. But my whole day on Tuesday was derailed. All the plans I had, the things I thought I was going to do, I did not do, because of some controllable things, some choices I made, but also some uncontrollable things like the traffic. And so as a result, I needed to pivot. Probably one of the reasons why I'm recording this episode right now instead of last Tuesday. And I had some commitments that obviously this is a commitment, and I had some other commitments, but I needed to decide how I wanted to be around them. So as I mentioned, I deeply cared about them and how I delivered on these commitments. But I was also clear, and I'm clear that I'm not willing to compromise my well-being in order to stick to the plan A. I think you guys will relate to this, knowing how many times we can't control how it goes for our well-being. So like exhibit A, you got to go to the ER. You don't get to control how much you sleep that night. And there's so many opportunities for us to, I guess the language I would use is to be at effect of what's happening, is just to have to be in defense in terms of like taking what you get. And there's so much of that actually is part of our life that I think I'm like unwilling to add any more of that than I have to. Like I can accept the part of my life that I don't have control, but I also fully accept the part of my life that I do have control. And so for me, this means I'm not willing to stay up late and to not get good sleep, to maybe stay attached to to plan A, I'll call it that. And so I developed and delivered plan B, and it was wonderful. I loved it. Plan B is often even better than you can dream up for plan A. But let's go back to the simple idea that I am putting in your space today, and that is the permission to be great, or rather, the permission to not be great. Perhaps the better way of saying this is choosing what you will focus on and choosing what you will let go of in this season. Maybe you are in a season, and actually I do find myself, yes, I have, little things that happen like this week, but overall, I'm in a season that is lighter for me. More is going well than not well, which we know those seasons don't stay forever. That's why it's called a season. So maybe you're in a season that's lighter for you. In this season, you might choose to challenge yourself. You might choose to go for great, go for excellent, you might choose the extra mile. But maybe you're in a hard season, or maybe you're just coming off of a hard season. You're like no longer there, but you're like licking your wounds, recovering. Honestly, I find the recovering from a hard season probably more challenging than the hard season itself. And when I say season, that could be a couple hours, it could be a couple days, it could be a couple months, it could be a couple years. And so maybe in your hard season, what I would have you contemplate is what would it look like for you to give yourself permission to find the easiest path and follow it. So there's like two parts there. There's actually being curious and like, how can this be easier? How can I make this easier on myself? How can I receive more help? How can I ask for more help? How can I just let go of some of the pressure I put on myself? And then how can I take the steps to follow it? So there's kind of a lot of pieces there. Because sometimes you may not immediately see anything. If you haven't practiced this, you probably just go blank. Be like, Kara, it's impossible. I don't know. It can't be. Which it could be. I don't know. I don't know your situation. But sometimes you'll be able to see a path that if you're willing to take it, feels like a little lighter, feels easier. And so I know it sounds simple, but it's not always, because it does require, like I said, it requires us to let go of how we thought it would be and even how we wanted it to be. And it requires us to be kind of dancing in the discomfort of performing less elitely than we originally thought we would be, than we know we can. And so I think it requires a level of vulnerability that some of us might be hesitant to step into. And I say that with no judgment. If you're not willing or ready, that is totally okay. And I had shared this with the gals in Pathway to Peace this week, that I'm constantly, and I think increasingly so, I'm constantly asking myself the question, how can I let this be easy? To be clear, it's not a rhetorical question. Like I actually then contemplate on and think about the thing and see what answers come to me. Some of them I'm like, yes, it's a great idea. I'm going to definitely do that. And sometimes I come up with ideas and I don't take them. I don't always take them, is I guess what I'm getting at. Just because you come up with an idea doesn't mean that you should take it. I think the idea of like brainstorming and back to the idea of it's unattaching to how you thought it should be. Unattaching even to that greatness that you know you can be. And again, giving yourself permission to not be great on purpose. I think it does feel a little bit better if it's like, oh, I'm doing this on purpose. So let's work with that. Let's work with like our own pride and ego and humility in ways that work for us. Okay. Well, for a variety of reasons, I think that is a great place to wrap up this short, simple, hopefully sweet episode. I'm off to ice my ankle and also to attempt to get the brewery smell out of my house. And I'm going to be asking myself the question this week and forward, how can I let this be easy? Will you join me? All right. We'll see you in the next episode.